Hello and welcome to English Emperor Lab 2.0. Today, we will learn English by listening to a beautiful story. The story is about Swami Vivekananda, a true spiritual warrior and the architect of modern Indian consciousness. This is a story that will ignite your mind and forever change the way you think about strength and purpose. His famous motto, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached," is more than a quote. It is the essence of his powerful philosophy. As you listen, you will not only improve your English, but also uncover the deep sources of his wisdom and his lifelong mission to empower humanity. Part 1. The Genesis of a Giant, 1863 to 1881. The world changer was born on January 12, 1863 in Kolkata, India. Named Narendra Nath Datta, he arrived into an affluent and respected Bengali family. This dual heritage, one of intellectual wealth and deep piety, would shape his destiny. The home of learning and piety. Narendra's father, Viswanath Datta, was a successful attorney with a vast intellect and liberal mind. He was known for his love of the Bible and Persian poetry, fostering a rational and questioning environment at home. He taught Narendra the importance of logic and reason and encouraged his pursuit of music, seeing it as a source of great pleasure. His mother, Bhuvaneshwari Devi, was the anchor of traditional Hindu values. She was a deeply devout woman, known for her sharp memory and storytelling. It was from her that Narendra first heard the ancient epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. She taught him his first great lesson: be pure, for without purity there can be no devotion. She often used simple stories to illustrate moral truths, which were quickly absorbed by young Narendra's mind, which was often described as a Shrutidhara, one who could remember everything heard just once. A childhood of fire and fearlessness. Narendra was an extraordinarily vibrant child. He was mischievous, energetic, and often needed 2 nurses just to manage his boundless energy. Yet, he was equally generous and loving. From an early age, he showed a profound, almost eccentric attraction to wandering monks, sadhus, sometimes giving away his own belongings to beggars, much to his mother's chagrin. His childhood games were telling. He was the natural leader, often playing king and the court, ruling with dignity and quick justice. But his most defining trait was his unwavering fearlessness. The famous story of the ghost-ridden tree perfectly illustrates this. While his friends fled the area, believing the rumor spread by an elder, Narendra stayed. He climbed the tree, sat there calmly for hours, and returned to declare, "There is no ghost. It was just your imagination and your fear." This wasn't mere childhood bravado. It was an early expression of his core philosophy: question everything, reject superstition, and face reality boldly. He displayed an early inclination toward meditation as well. He would sometimes lose himself so deeply in mimic meditation games that he would become unconscious of the world around him. This constant oscillation between extreme energy and profound inner stillness marked him as unique. The academic ascent and spiritual crisis. Narendra's academic journey was impressive, though sometimes unconventional. He initially struggled with grammar, but was a voracious reader. By the time he graduated from Calcutta University, he had mastered Western philosophy, logic, and European history. He was fascinated by thinkers like John Stuart Mill, Herbert Spencer, and Immanuel Kant, using their logic to challenge the orthodox beliefs of his time. He even joined the Brahmo Samaj movement for a period, which emphasized rationalism and denounced idol worship. Despite his deep knowledge and intellectual brilliance, a profound spiritual crisis began to shake him in his late teens. He found that pure logic could satisfy the mind, but not the deepest yearning of his soul. He began to aggressively question the existence of God, telling people he was an agnostic. He asked every religious and intellectual figure he met the same burning question. "Sir, have you seen God?" No one could give him a convincing answer. The world of intellectual debate left him empty. Part 2. The Crucible of the Guru, 1881 to 1886. In November 1881, Narendra's search for truth led him to the Dakshineshwar Kali temple, where he met the mystic saint Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. The transformative meeting. Narendra approached the simple, gentle saint and put forth his famous question, "Sir, have you seen God?" Ramakrishna, without a moment's hesitation, replied, "Yes, I have. I see him as clearly as I see you, only in a much more intense sense." This reply was a jolt of electricity to Narendra's skeptical, logical mind. It was the first time he had received a definitive affirmation from someone he perceived as authentic. Though initially doubtful of the saint's ecstatic states, the sheer purity, love, and unwavering spiritual conviction of Ramakrishna eventually won him over. Ramakrishna saw in Narendra not just a student, but a colossal spiritual force, a potential vehicle for a global mission. He affectionately called him Naren and began to mold the young man's genius. Lessons of the highest wisdom. The 5 years Narendra spent with Ramakrishna were the foundational crucible of his life. 1. Direct experience over intellect. Ramakrishna guided Narendra away from mere philosophical debate and towards anubhuti, direct intuitive experience. He taught him that the ultimate goal is God realization, not just academic knowledge. The oneness of existence, Vedanta. Ramakrishna demonstrated the truth that all beings are fundamentally divine. This profound Advaita, non-dualism teaching became the cornerstone of Vivekananda's future message. Service to man is service to God. The crisis of poverty. In 1884, Narendra's world collapsed with the sudden death of his father, leaving the family completely destitute. Narendra went door to door, desperately seeking employment, often going hungry so his mother and siblings could eat. This period of intense suffering was critical. He once remarked, "A God who could not in this life give a crust of bread was not to be trusted in the next life for the kingdom of heaven." His faith was severely shaken, but his empathy for the poor was sealed forever. The refusal of wealth. In his desperation, Ramakrishna asked Narendra to pray to the Divine Mother, Kali, for financial relief. Narendra went 3 times, but each time could only ask for knowledge, devotion, and discrimination. He realized he could not ask for mere worldly gain. This was the final step of his renunciation. The first monastic brotherhood. Ramakrishna fell ill with throat cancer in 1885. The young disciples, led by Narendra, devotedly nursed him at the Kashipur garden house. Here, Ramakrishna formalized their monastic vows, distributing ochre robes, and personally instructed Narendra to look after the spiritual welfare of the boys. He placed the burden of his future mission directly upon Narendra's shoulders. On August 16, 1886, Sri Ramakrishna passed away. After his demise, Narendra and 15 other young disciples formed the first monastic brotherhood at the dilapidated house in Baranagar. Here, they formally took the vows of sannyasa, monkhood, dedicating themselves to God realization and the welfare of the world. Part 3. The Wandering Monk, 1888 to 1893. After 2 years of intense practice at the Baranagar Math, Swami Vivekananda realized he needed to understand the vastness of India, not through books but through direct experience. The Parivrajaka, wandering monk life. In 1888, he set out on a 4-year solitary pilgrimage across the entire Indian subcontinent, the life of a Parivrajaka. He traveled mostly on foot, with no money, no fixed schedule, and relying entirely on providence, learning from the land. He met people from every stratum of society: Maharajas, scholars, Orthodox Brahmins, Muslim peasants, and untouchables. He slept in palaces and in the open air. This journey gave him an unfiltered look at India's soul. He deeply immersed himself in Sanskrit and local languages, broadening his intellectual base. The agony of the masses. The sight of the terrible poverty, the crushing superstitions, and the illiteracy of the masses was agonizing. He wept for the people. This suffering galvanized his mission. He realized that the primary need was not more religion, but food, education, and dignity. He declared, "It is futile to preach religion amongst them without first trying to remove their poverty and their suffering." Encounters with royalty. Throughout his travels, his genius attracted the attention of local rulers. He impressed Maharajas like those of Mysore and Khetri with his vast knowledge of history, philosophy, and current affairs. It was the Maharaja of Khetri, Ajit Singh, who persuaded him to adopt the name Vivekananda, meaning the bliss of discerning wisdom, just before he left for America. Secretly, the Maharaja also arranged for a monthly stipend to be sent to Vivekananda's struggling mother, a fact the Swami only discovered later. The Kanyakumari vow. His pilgrimage culminated at the southmost tip of India, Kanyakumari, Cape Comorin, in December 1892. He swam across the treacherous waters to a rock formation now known as Vivekananda Rock Memorial, and meditated for 3 days. Here, on the last piece of Indian soil, Vivekananda did not meditate for his own moksha, or liberation. Instead, he meditated on the past, present, and future of India. He saw clearly that India's ruin lay in the neglect of its masses. He resolved that his life's work would be to uplift the poor and the downtrodden, and he concluded that he must go to the West to seek material and scientific aid for this revival. The idea of attending the upcoming World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago was born here, solidified by the encouragement of his disciples in Madras, now known as Chennai. Part 4. The Global Awakening, 1893 to 1897. Swami Vivekananda departed from Bombay on May 31, 1893. His journey to America was a series of intense lessons and trials. The struggle before the stage. He arrived in Chicago in July 1893, 2 months before the Parliament was scheduled to start. He was a complete foreigner, penniless, wearing strange robes, and unaware that the Parliament's dates had been pushed back, and delegates were only accepted by formal invitation. He struggled to find food and shelter, facing intense racial prejudice and mockery due to his appearance. He wandered the streets, slept in empty boxcars, and was once even chased by a hostile crowd. This period was a test of his resolve. He later wrote, "I am the son of a beggar, and I am not ashamed of it. My God is the poor of all races." This personal suffering only sharpened his focus. He eventually found a kind benefactor, Kate Sanborn, who offered him temporary shelter. However, it was a Harvard professor, Professor John Henry Wright, who recognized his extraordinary genius. He remarked, "To ask you, Swami, for credentials is like asking the sun to state its right to shine." Wright wrote letters of introduction, securing him a place at the Parliament as a delegate of Hinduism. The Thunder in Chicago. On September 11, 1893, Swami Vivekananda rose to speak at the Art Institute of Chicago. The atmosphere was formal and heavy.
He was the last speaker of the day and felt incredibly nervous. He bowed to Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, and began his address. His opening words, "Sisters and Brothers of America," shattered the formality. The 10-minute ovation that followed was completely unprecedented. People were not merely applauding, they were responding to the genuine, heartfelt love and recognition in his address. His subsequent speeches were an intellectual and spiritual triumph. He taught the audience the universal religion. He presented the core of Vedanta, the unity of all existence, and the idea that all religions are different paths leading to the same divine goal. Acceptance, not tolerance. He passionately argued for the spirit of acceptance, which India had historically embodied, rather than mere tolerance, which he considered condescending. The divinity of man. His most revolutionary teaching was that the soul is inherently divine, and the goal of life is to manifest that divinity. He famously declared, "Each soul is potentially divine." The press hailed him as a cyclonic monk and the greatest figure in the parliament. Vivekananda's success was not merely personal, it was the world's first serious acknowledgement of India's philosophical depth.
The American and English Mission. For the next 4 years, Swami Vivekananda tirelessly crisscrossed America and England. He lectured on Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, translating complex ancient concepts into clear, modern, and practical terms. He attracted numerous disciples, including prominent figures like Sarah Bull, Josiah Royce, and most importantly, Margaret Noble, who became Sister Nivedita, his most dedicated Western disciple. He faced relentless opposition and criticism from Christian missionaries and jealous rivals who tried to slander him. His response was always gentle yet firm. The only fight is the fight against one's own lower nature. He never retaliated, proving his strength through his calm conduct. Part 5. The Patriot Saint and the Final Call. 1897 to 1902. Swami Vivekananda returned to India in 1897, landing in Colombo, Sri Lanka, to a hero's welcome. His journey from Colombo to Almora was a triumphal procession, often referred to as his lectures from Colombo to Almora. The dual mission in India. He was no longer just a monk. He was a patriot saint, the symbol of a resurgent nation. His mission was now clearly twofold. 1. National awakening, to inject a dose of self-confidence and strength into the depressed nation. He exhorted the youth to develop muscles of iron and nerves of steel, and urged them to stop weeping over their past. His mantra, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached," became the clarion call for the future freedom movement. 2. Organized service, to translate the theoretical ideal of Vedanta into practical action. In 1897, he founded the Ramakrishna Mission, an organization based on the principle of Atmano Mokshartam Jagat Hitaya Cha, for one's own salvation and for the good of the world. This was a revolutionary concept, merging the monastic ideal with social service, providing relief, education, and medical aid to the suffering masses. The founding of Belur Math. In 1899, he established the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Order at Belur Math on the banks of the Ganga near Kolkata. This math was built with an intentional universal architecture featuring elements from Hindu, Muslim, and Christian styles, symbolizing the harmony of all religions. He declared that Belur Math was to be a place where the message of Ramakrishna would be a confluence of all faiths. The final years and timeless teachings. The years of relentless travel, lecture tours, and intense work had taken a brutal toll on his health. He suffered from asthma, chronic insomnia, and severe diabetes. He often remarked, "I shall not live to be 40." Despite his physical suffering, his philosophical clarity only deepened. He offered some of his most profound and practical teachings during this time. On concentration,
The power of concentration is the only key to the treasure house of knowledge. On women's upliftment, he passionately advocated for the education and empowerment of women, stating, "That country and that nation which do not respect women have never become great, nor will ever be in future." On man-making religion, he emphasized a religion that made people strong and brave, criticizing customs that promoted weakness and fear. Strength is goodness, weakness is sin. He also showed a profound human side. Despite the strict monastic rules he enforced, he often exhibited great personal compassion. He was known to love tea, and during his time at Belur Math, he went against the orthodox views of the time by introducing tea to the monks. He even fought a lawsuit against the local municipality over an unfair tax on the Math premises, winning the case and teaching his disciples the importance of fighting for justice. Mahasamadhi. On July 4, 1902, Swami Vivekananda woke up early and followed his usual routine: meditation, teaching his disciples, and the long walk. That afternoon, he taught his students Sanskrit grammar and the philosophy of Yajurveda. He retired to his room by 7 p.m. for meditation, instructing his disciples not to disturb him. At 9:10 p.m., he passed away peacefully while meditating, a rupture of a blood vessel in his brain often cited as the cause. He attained Mahasamadhi at the predicted age of 39. His life, though incredibly short, just 9 years of intense public work, was a blazing fire that permanently illuminated the world. Conclusion: the immortal legacy. Swami Vivekananda's life was a testament to the power of self-belief and selfless action. His teachings transcend religion, speaking directly to the universal human spirit. He left behind a powerful legacy that continues to inspire. The Ramakrishna Mission, an active global organization dedicated to selfless service in education, healthcare, and disaster relief. Vedanta in the West. He successfully introduced yoga and Vedanta to the Western world, sparking a spiritual movement that continues today. The national spirit. His philosophy remains the bedrock of modern Indian nationalism, and his birthday is celebrated as National Youth Day. His life proved his ultimate teaching: all the powers in the universe are already ours. It is we who have put our hands before our eyes and cry that it is dark. His story is not history. It is an eternal manual for conquering fear, realizing your own divinity, and serving the world. Let the energy of his life propel you forward to your own goal. Thank you for listening to this story on English Emperor Lab 2.0. We hope you not only learned some new English words and phrases, but also felt inspired by the beautiful life and powerful message of Swami Vivekananda. Remember, the best way to improve your English is to listen to stories like this one every day. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep being strong. See you next time.